So here we are, January 1, 2012, with the theme of the month being faithfulness. Faithfulness. And my topic today is knowing beyond hoping. Faithfulness. That definition that appeared in the affirmations is actually a definition from the lexical aids, the lexicon of one of my favorite study Bibles, my Hebrew-Greek Key Study Bible, King James Version, where it describes faith. And it's using the Greek word pistis, most of the New Testament, in terms of scholars and looking at the most ancient texts, some of the most ancient texts that we have for the New Testament is actually in Greek. Contrary to popular belief, the Catholic Church was not the first Christian church. That didn't come for a few hundred years later. It was the Greek Orthodox Church. So many of the disciples, after Jesus was crucified, fled the area and they went into Greece. And it was the Greeks who very first took on the philosophy and carried it on. The word that's used is pistis. Pistis, the Greek word is pistis. Now, we typically think of faith as something that is blind. We typically think of faith as some place where you're hanging out in the not know and you're just like in some abyss and you're being childlike and trusting in things that you don't know or you don't understand. The word faith that's used in Scripture is knowledge of, assent to, and confidence in certain divine truths, especially those that lead to good works. Knowledge of, assent to, and confidence in certain divine truths, especially those that lead to good works. There's nothing blind about faith. Faith is eyes wide open. Nothing blind about faith. Knowledge of. Ernest Holmes, in Signs of Mind, actually I think it's page 157, because I looked it up again not too long ago. In its textbook, Ernest Holmes says that faith is this abiding sense that all is well. And he said in order to have faith, you had to have belief, acceptance, and trust. Belief, acceptance, and trust. And it is this exact parallel to the Greek pistis, knowledge of, belief, assent to, acceptance, confidence in, trust. Belief, acceptance, trust, knowledge of, assent to, confidence in. This is powerful stuff I'm talking about here. I'm thinking back to when we had one of the DVD premieres of The Living Matrix here at Inner Light. And the panel that I was on with Bruce Lipton and Howard Martin from Heart Math and Dr. Rachel Abrams here from the Santa Cruz Integrative Chi Center. And we were talking about belief itself and the nature of belief, and how even Western medicine is coming around to understand the power of belief. That our very cells, the things that happen within our body temple, are not just based upon genetics, but that we are in a constant co-creative process with belief itself. This is extraordinary. And one of the things that Bruce Lipton kept emphasizing was this idea of the placebo effect. This notion that upwards of 30% plus documented Western medicine that says that it's only the placebo effect that's healed people. The placebo is that where you have taken something and it's only your belief that it's doing anything that's made it work. It's like if they gave you a sugar pill and told you it was medicine, or say operate, open up your knee, don't actually give you the surgery, close your knee back up and tell you they had the surgery. Those are placebos. And that people heal just as well. Just as well. Because it is the power of their belief. Can you feel that? The power of their belief. This assent to, this is not a passive agreement. When you give your assent, it is wholehearted. When you give your assent, you are in alignment with it. You are saying yes to it. You are no longer rejecting it. This place of confidence is where you can step out on what you know. See, if you can't step out on it, you're not confident in it. I want you to catch that. It doesn't matter how much you know if you're not confident in it. You may know a lot about love, but are you confident in what you know? And I'm challenging us on that. Because so often we make the spiritual principles or the spiritual qualities nouns that we chase after. Faith is not a thing. Faith is not a noun. Faith is a verb. Faith is a verb. There's actually a beautiful spirit letter in my second book, Your Deepest Intent. I guess technically my third book, Your Deepest Intent. Second in the Letters of the Infinite series. Faith is a verb. Our English language. We have this way of having things be both the verb and the noun. So if we were to say something like building, there's the process of building, and then there's the actual building. With love, we understand that there's love, the process of loving, the activity of loving, and then its sort of byproduct, the thing that it produces, love, right? But it's like that with every spiritual quality. Peace is a verb. It is an activity. Faith is an activity. Faith is an action. Faith is something that you do. It's something that you be. I love Ebonics for this. And verb conjugation, because they don't mix it up. I be, you be, we be, they be, it be. It just be. It's not switching first person, second person, third person. It be. It just be. That's that place of faith. It's where you're moving into that place of the beingness. This is not just hoping. If you're hoping, this is good, but you haven't gone far enough. When you have reached the place of faith, it is beyond hope. When you have reached that place of faith, no is not an answer. No is not an answer. Faith is not about facts. You get too tripped up in facts, you'll lose your faith. Listen to what I just said. Don't keep looking for more facts to try to bring you faith. Facts will trip you up in a minute. They are appearances. They are temporal. They are transitory. They are illusion. Illusion. The choir was just singing about that. Take back what illusion took from me. Every spiritual tradition will tell you, don't judge by the appearances. Do not judge by the appearances. Don't judge by the appearances. Everything that we see is just an illusion. It looks like we're standing still. In fact, we are spinning so quickly, it's indecipherable. We're moving so fast that you can't even see it. it looks like there's night and day. That is an illusion. There's no night and day. It looks like, and I love that illusion of the sunset and the sunrise. That's one of the best illusions in the world. But the sun is not setting, nor is it rising. The sun is not going anywhere. We moved. Catch the implication of that. We moved. Go back into the light. Go back into the light. I remember 14 years old, and it was my first trip to Europe, and the whole family went. My dad wanted to expose us to the world, and bless his heart, and he just got back from the hospital. I just brought him back from the hospital a couple of days ago. Yes, 89, and we were on a nonstop flight from Rome to Los Angeles. It was something like 16 hours. 16 hours into perpetual sunrise. 16 hours into perpetual sunrise. I will never, ever, ever forget that. Because I saw so viscerally, we're the ones moving. So think of the implication in those moments when it's seeming so dark. Who moved? When it's seeming so dark, have you ever had an opportunity to fly in a plane when it's raining? It's the most extraordinary thing. You go up and up and up, and there is a place on the other side of the cloud. Bright and sunshiny. And the clouds, you look down and they look all billowy and wide. And you never know that there's a storm down there. That's the transcendent awareness. It's not denial. It's not denial. When we tell you to go to the place of the transcendent awareness, it is not denial. It's above. It's above. See, for every physical law that we have, there's higher law. There's higher law. You look at steel, you look at iron, you throw it in the water, you say it can't float. It can't fly. But there are higher laws. We say, well, what goes up must come down. Well, maybe. You go up high enough, even that's not true. Do you want to be bound? Do you want to stay bound to the lower usages of the law? Or will you allow yourself to be freed by the higher usages? Yeah. See? This is where we are now. With everything. Whether we're talking about energy, there is enough energy in a 12-ounce can to supply all the energy we need for the whole country. 0-point energy. It's all here. Can you catch what I'm saying? It's what do we see? When we get stuck in just the facts as we know them to be, that is limited consciousness. Don't allow the past to be the precedent for your future. You see possibility. The faith that I have seen, if not come, the deepest faith, have not come from the people who have the most learned knowledge. There is an awareness Because it said in the affirmation, there's stuff you know in your bones. Africans believe that the memory is in the bones. A lot of indigenous people believe that, which is why it's so sacrilegious to mess with a graveyard. Okay? Because those aren't just bones, it's the memory and the consciousness and the legacy. And it's being buried to go back into the Pachamama, to go back into the Adama, to go back into reseeding everything again. They say it's in the bones. Don't look for the facts to tell you what you need to know. Go to a place deep inside. And what I know is if you will go to the place deep inside, you'll get signs. You gotta know how to read the signs. Spirit has a way of talking to each and every one of us. I call it these little like covenant agreements. And when you pay enough attention, you begin to be able to read the signs along the way. There are signs that just tell you that you're headed in the right direction. And thank God we don't have to know where we're going to know we're headed in the right direction. Learn to read your body. There are times when you're restricted and you're constricted. And there's times that you breathe. Pay attention to your gut. I don't care what the facts say. When your gut says, something ain't right, baby, something ain't right. How many of you have gone against your gut? Not pretty, is it? And then when it doesn't mess up, we're like, something told me. I love it. Reverend Michael, my mentor, says, another word for God is something. Something told me. You are being guided. And I have to confess, I've had to get over it. Just childhood baggage. Not liking to be micromanaged. Not wanting to be micromanaged. Wanting to make my own way. Wanting to do my own thing. Right? And many of you know that part of my spiritual path is this prophetic voice. And it finally dawned on me, you got the voice of God talking to you, girl, shut the up. What in the world is wrong with you? This faith can be cultivated, is what I'm trying to say. It can be cultivated. It's not just something that you have or you don't have, because this faith is a relationship. It's knowledge of, assent to, and confidence in these divine truths, where you develop a relationship with the truth. I want you to catch that, where you develop a relationship with the truth. I grew up in a tradition that made faith about external facts. It made faith about doctrine and dogma. Didn't matter if your life was falling apart. Just, do you believe these facts? Well, I'm not so sure they're facts, so let me rephrase that. Do you believe these ideas? Do you believe these constructs? Are you willing to live in this paradigm? And what I know is if you profess your loyalty to facts and you profess your loyalty to constructs, and you don't have an internal shift and change of heart, that very construct will become your confine. That very construct will become your confine. We are so when I was very Pentecostal, when I was being trained very Pentecostal, let me make the connection. It's not saying anything's like wrong with it. It's just I have never been very Pentecostal. But that's okay. I haven't been a lot of things. I haven't been a cowboy. I haven't been, a sailor. I just haven't been that. I can't believe I'm about to tell this story, but I am. I was in one of my practitioner classes not too long ago, and I was trying to talk about faith. And I was explaining to some people, I can't believe I'm about to tell you this, that my very first time that I can remember, like stepping out on faith, was a point in time when I just felt like my life was completely out of control. That moment, like in 12-step, your best thinking has got you here. And I was just mixed up in all kinds of things and all kinds of relationships, and I just didn't know what to do. So I was praying to God. This was right before I started taking classes. This was, like a long, long time ago, like back in the 70s, 80s. So I said, okay, I'm going to trust this stuff. This was my first time with faith, that I'm going to trust that God's going to clean up my life, and I can't make a decision between all these things. And God, you just tell me what's the right person, what's the right thing. Now, mind you, my Pentecostal background had told me that God was going to turn me straight. And that was one of the reasons I couldn't surrender that ministry thing. Because it's like, oh, Lord, if I got to be something that's inauthentic and preach a doctrine that's exclusive, God, I don't have any problem when Jesus is my main man. But I can't do, I can't do the exclusion thing. So it's like, if we're going to do all that, we're going to have a problem up in here. So I was running from that. So I was telling the class, I said, it was the time when I just had to trust that God, this was my faith, that God was going to bring me what was right for me. And I said, I had to trust. I said that God wasn't going to do something crazy like bring me a cowboy. I said, what the world am I going to do with a cowboy? And somebody in the class said, I'll take him. It was too perfect. It was too perfect. But there is something in the universe that knows you. We're going to be rocking out on that. I want you to feel that. This is this place that trips us up so much. And I'm about to end soon. This is the place that trips us up so much. Where we have a difficult time understanding the different aspects of the great is. That there is an aspect of the great is, the law, that is completely impersonal. That is so strong and so intelligent as to hang the sun and the moon and the stars and to create life itself. And we can look in the vastness of that as the psalmist says, what art man that thou art mindful of him? In Psalm 8, who can we possibly be? And yet, the same infinite wisdom and intelligence is eyes on the sparrow, and it knows exactly who you are and exactly what you need. Everything is working on an energetic, vibrational frequency. Whether you want to call it the laws of attraction, I don't care what you want to call it, but what I can tell you is that everything that needs to get together gets together in the most perfect way. And when we learn to rest in that, when we learn to relax in that, see, it's both It's both. There's the divine design and there's you and your personal life. They're working together. I grew up in a tradition that was explaining to me that God was like big out there. And then I wind up in metaphysics and says, no, God's not out there. God's in you. But it's both. It's both. In God we live and move and have our being. In God we live and move and have our being. It's kind of like air. Yes, we have air in our lungs. But the only reason why you have air in your lungs is because you're walking around in air. Catch that. The only reason why there is air in your lungs is because you are walking around in air. It is in, it is out. So within, so without. The inner, the outer, the micro, the macro. It's all the same, but you know what? The only air you will ever know is the air that you can breathe. The only air you'll ever know. Are you with me? There's an awareness, there's air, but the only air you'll ever know is the air that comes through you. The only love you will ever know is the love you let come through you, not to you, baby. You won't know love just coming to you. The only love you will ever know is the love that comes through you. The only peace you will ever know is the peace that you experience in your heart. I don't care what NATO is doing. The only prosperity and abundance that you will ever know is that place of sufficiency deep down in your soul where you say, I am enough. This is the knowing beyond hope. And just start where you are. Just start where you are. It could be cultivated. And let it be cultivated just by listening to something. Just start paying attention to your something. That something that tells you this way, not that way. Stop here, go over there. And something is not afraid. Something doesn't give you all the litany of all the bad things that are going to happen if you don't do it. It's just, call now. You don't see a whole bunch. Call now. And then you don't call. And then call now. Call now. You don't worry about losing anything, because if it's yours, it'll come back. Don't worry about having made the wrong decisions, because if there's a decision that you're supposed to make, baby, you'll get a chance to make it again. Don't worry. It's a perfect universe. And you can cultivate it. You can cultivate it just by listening to your own something that's always, always talking to you. Let us pray. Something never leads you wrong. Something never wants anything bad for you. Something always, always, always is showing you how to work through the maze and the light at the end of the tunnel. We give thanks in this moment. By our calendar in the U.S. right here, right now, what we call the new year. I'm knowing in this moment that we have the courage to no longer see ourselves as entities that life is happening to. We're verbs. We are divine action itself, created out of the Elohim, strong ones, pure consciousness in the form, bigger and greater than anything that we could possibly imagine. So in this moment right now, we dare to believe. We have the audacity to believe. We have the audacity to know. We are not our stuff. We are not our finances. We are not our jobs. We are not our relationships. We're not our houses. We're not our cars. We are not any of that. We're not even our body temples, because it too shall pass one day. We're not our thoughts. We're the thinker. We are not our emotions. We have emotions. They don't have us. And in this moment, we say thank you. We have the courage to consider. We piece it all together. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, Spirit, Almighty, Creator of all living things, for having brought us from such a mighty, mighty long way. And in this moment right now, we just stop and bless every inch of the journey. We lay it all upon the altar, knowing that the alchemy of your divine love melts it all down into something that is a blessing for all. So we move beyond the tendency to want to judge or to name something as good or bad with the little g. Oh no, everything is redeemable. Everything has a place. Not trying to cut anything out, not trying to run away from anything. Create in us a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within us, that we may be available to thy most perfect will. How should we serve this day? What would you have us to be this day? We be something this day. And since there's only one of us here, this prayer that I'm praying for everyone. Divine right order, divine right action. And I know that it manifests very specifically as divine right employment, divine right housing, divine right transportation, divine right companionship, divine right creative expression. It manifests itself as trust and truth and courage, as balance, as reconciliation, forgiveness. The husks falling off of our hardened hearts. It comes through as clarity in the midst of seeming confusion, peace in the midnight hour. It comes through as love. Sweet, sweet love. The Lord, literally the self-existent one, is our shepherd, and we want for nothing. All needs met. So in this moment right now, for everybody and everything that's been heavy on our hearts and our mind, we're saying, I see you. You're not a victim in my mind anymore. You are a victor. That every trial and every tribulation is a triumph. Every test is a testimony in the making. How we develop our conviction, calm with fiction, victory with victory. We know beyond all hoping. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We don't have to know anything in particular, other than that which you place in our hearts. It is good. It is finished. It is done. We just get out of the way and allow it to be in, through, and most especially as us. And so it is.